This is an archive of your life, and I love doing this. The best thing that I could have done. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. As always, I'm very happy to have you here. Welcome to my comfy and cozy corner of my room here. I'm in the mood to chit chat this week, so we are going to be talking about journaling, how it can help your life, a new hobby that you can pick up, something that you might want to integrate into the new year. Be looking for more journaling videos on YouTube. I hope that this video helps you. I'm going to talk about my experience in journaling, how it has helped me, how I have used it throughout the years and brought me to a better version of myself. So I have my matcha here, nice and ready. Also in this video, I am going to be sharing some tips that I have incorporated throughout the years. So as you can see right here, I have 3 journals. I do yearly journals, so once the new year begins, I write everything that happens throughout that year in one journal. I started doing this in 2023. I always say this, and I will continue to say this. 2022 was the worst year that I've ever been through. I was heavily depressed. I was so low. I had so many sad thoughts. I was really down in the dumps. I had no hope for life, and I can speak about this now because I'm in a much better place, thank God. But during that time, I really had nothing going on for myself. You know, I would try to pick up like little hobbies here and there, little interests, but that was before I started posting consistently and being a content creator. And I think that journaling came across to me, I believe, on TikTok, because that's where I was scrolling at the moment. And also throughout my time periods of being in therapy, I have been advised to just, you know, kind of document my emotions, write it down, have that as an outlet to express myself. So come 2023, I started journaling, and when I started expressing my emotions pen to paper, because it really was just me and my thoughts. Depression, if you've been through depression, you know how bad it gets when it's just you and your thoughts. So that's where journaling comes in, and it has really helped me. So I have 2023, which I believe is this one. This was my first journal. I like these hardcover journals. I got this one from Target. Yeah, this one is 2023, and then I have 2024. Over the years, I've added some stickers just to make it stand out. And then this one was 2025. I just recently wrapped this one up, but I put it away. We're gonna take this step by step. When I first started journaling, it really was just me putting my emotions to paper. I believe in 2022 I was doing that already, but it was just so many negative emotions and it was all over the place. Like, I just had a whole bunch of notebooks and I would write randomly. So I didn't have a one space dedicated to my writing. That's when I got this one. I just want to read the first page. I haven't really looked back at these journals, but I just want to read the first page and what my intention was. Just like this pen, and I wrote it in purple ink. I want this to bring more color into my life. Today I purchased a new journal for 2023 to document my growth, my commitment to self, lessons, talks both high and low, goals, manifestations. I had a journal for the previous year, which is ironically what I'm talking about, and enjoyed getting to be present and channel my emotions. I don't only want to document sadness, I want to document joy and moments of happiness, so I remember and outweigh the goodness of life and creating it. So yeah, that's basically what I was just talking about. I wanted to document my growth and bettering myself. In this journal, if I were to look at it, I don't want to look at it too deeply just because I don't want to go down all of the past. But if I were to look back on it, I would say that it did start off with me just being still in the negative emotions. Anytime that I would go through something really difficult, I would run immediately to my journal and write it down, which I feel like is tip number 1 that I would give to you. Whenever you're feeling that heightened sense of emotion, go to your journal and write it down. Sometimes when we're talking to other people, how we feel might not come across just like how we're thinking it, and depending on the person, they might not understand you, so it can get lost in translation and you can be misunderstood, and there's nothing worse than being misunderstood. So you can really just take everything that's in your mind and write it down, and once you start writing, you just keep writing, and you enter a flow state, how they call it, and you start discovering emotions and feelings and things that bother you, and the more that you write, the more that it comes out, which is so organic and natural. That's how it should be. You shouldn't hold those feelings internally. It should be expressed, and if you're not expressing it verbally, then take it to your journal. I call it a journal, but it is actually a diary because you're just fueling your life's experience onto this. Now again, when I first started, it was a lot of negative emotions because I was still in that negative headspace, but there were still things that I was going through, like accomplishments or events, experiences that I would still write down just to kind of like even out that negativity and those bad times that I was going through. So now we're letting go of 2023. This is when life started feeling a little bit more better for me, and honestly I'm very glad that I have these years specifically documented, because that's when I decided that I wanted to get out of my depression and help myself. So this is year number 1, and then we move on to year number 2, 2024. Tip number 2 that I would give you is write down sudden realizations. The beautiful thing about journaling is that as you write and as you move on and experience life, you start paying attention to what people are telling you, to what you're going through, to what you're experiencing. There are little gems of wisdom everywhere, and if you catch onto it, you'll constantly have these moments of, oh, didn't realize that. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And those are the things that you should document in your journal as well. Sometimes it might not come from the world, sometimes it might come from yourself. You're just sitting there thinking and something might come to you and you're like, whoa, I have the answer. And that's why people say you always have the answers within yourself, because you do. You really just have to sit there and think, not forcefully, but it'll really come up at the most random times, and that's where your growth is. And when you have that moment, if you don't have your journal around you, take your phone, put it in your notes app, but come back to your journal and write down in it, because that's where you'll see that, oh, I learned in that moment what I had to do, or what I had to let go of, or how to fix this. And that is such a beautiful thing. And with me journaling, that has come up. So those are just great moments, not just only talking about like, oh, today I had a bad day, but also those good moments where those realizations come up. Tip number 3 is share the moments where you feel like yourself, where you feel like you had a little piece of joy. I would say document the good times, document the accomplishments. Like if there's something, an accomplishment or a goal that you have achieved, write that down, that made you feel good and why. But also the small little things. If you went on a walk and you felt the sun on your skin and you got yourself a cold cup of coffee, write down how it felt, write down how it tasted, write down how the day felt. If you were people watching, what were people wearing? Just like those small little things. Even if you had a boring day, write it down. What made it boring? Why didn't you like it? Like here I have a day where I had another boring Sunday, and it's just, I was in that moment and that's exactly how I felt. So I just wrote it down. I wrote down what bothered me and I just kept that as a timestamp. Okay, we're moving on to the next journal, which is my most recent one. I feel like what has changed throughout the years when it comes to my journaling is that I don't really document the negative emotions. If I had a bad day, then I'll go through my bad day and I will live it through instead of running immediately to my journal. I'll just feel it out and then I'll try to have a solution to it on what I did. I go to my journal and I talk about how I felt and what I did to combat it, or what was something that kind of reeled me back into myself. Many times is God and just my hope and what he tells me to do. So I will write down why that day was so hard for me, but remind myself like it's okay because I remembered this and it's gonna be alright. So another thing that I did this year was be aware of what season I'm in. So a thing that I had a lot of difficulty with was, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? You learn why you're in that time period. So I would write down the era that I'm in right now, the season that I'm in, and it would start making a lot of sense to me and why I was going through certain things. With journaling, I don't like doing journal prompts. I never do journal prompts. I just journal off of emotion and off of experience. I think that when you're starting out, that's the best way to go about it, because journaling should not be perfect. It should not be super aesthetic and super pretty and super okay. I have to make sure that everything is pristine and perfect in here. Journal should be your most authentic internal self. It should be something where it's a place of perfection, because That's just not good. You're coming into your journal with perfection, and it shouldn't be met with that. It should be met with rawness, I would say. Other tips that I would give you is, if there's something going on in the world, document that. How did you feel about it? Write letters to yourself. So if there's something that you're constantly struggling with, one thing about me was me feeling like I mattered. So there's a letter in here to myself where I write, Natalie, you are loved, and dear Natalie. And just in case I come back into these journals, I'm basically answering myself, or I'm basically reminding myself of something. That's the good thing about documenting these time periods, is that you ironically have a lot of answers within yourself, and it will always come back around whenever you need it. So that's amazing. Talk about the things that make you feel behind. So this is something that I constantly feel like I'm behind. You know, I'm 25 and maybe I don't have a relationship or a job or income or money, things like that, where I look around at my peers and I feel behind. Write down those moments, because chances are that that's how life is right now, but that's not how life is going to be forever. That's what I remind myself, is this is temporary. And a lot of that happened to me last year, where I thought to myself, this is temporary, you know, it's all gonna pass. But in this moment, this is what I'm going through, this is how I feel, and I'm gonna write it pen to paper. Having all of these moments documented year by year has really made me feel happy that I have documented all of this growth, especially starting out when I did. Start out when you feel like you really want to make that change, when you really want to feel something new. Even though it might not be perfection, it's definitely not going to be perfection one day from the next, but it's a step in the right direction. And again, it's just a step by step. So even through these moments, I was still going through therapy, I was still going through tough times, but I was learning along the way. I was growing along the way, which is the most important part. So much so that now these are all wisdom pages for me for 2026. One thing that I do with these journals is that they're dedicated to the entire year. I like doing about 200 pages because that would fit majority of the year. I don't journal every day, and I wouldn't recommend journaling every day because then it feels like a chore. Journal when you feel like it's most natural, when you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this, I have to talk about this with someone, I have to get this out of my head, out of my heart. Write it down. But I think that journaling every day is a bit, you know, much. And then there's some days where I have nothing to talk about, so I'm not gonna come to my journal when I don't have anything to talk about. There might be like a little quote that I saw that I really want to remember that I'll write down, but that's just one line and that's it. You also don't have to write pages on it. If it's a little paragraph, if it's one sentence and you feel called to write it, write that down. I always pick out a color when it comes to journals, just to reflect the color of the year, the mood that I want to have. I chose black for 2026 because it reflects sophistication, being chic, classy, more womanhood, which I feel like I'm entering this year and that I want to enter. So that's why I chose black. A tip that I've been writing inside of these is a word of the year. I hope that this video helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to talk about journaling, because if you're going through a tough time in your life right now, this is definitely one of the ways that will help you, feel more present, that will help you come back to yourself, that will help you grow. It's just gonna help you in so many areas. And then this is also a physical way to document your life. I know we have pictures, I know we have videos, I love things like that, but there's nothing more precious than seeing your handwriting during this time period. Once you're done writing in your yearly journals, I like to write down what I learned out of that year, so I'll make a list. And right before New Year's Day, I'll wrap it up and I will put this in storage. I took this out of storage just for the sake of this video, but I don't go through these, I don't read them, especially if they're very recent. I have no reason to. Life moves forward and you start documenting new things, new growth, and you also start applying those bits of wisdom. So I put this in my storage, and then maybe, you know, at the end of next year I'll look through them, or whenever you feel called to. This is an archive of your life, and I love doing this. Best thing that I've could have done. I hope that you guys like this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment, and let's chit chat. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. I would love to have you here. I love doing these chit chatty videos that help you out in life because they have helped me, and I will see you in the next one. Much love.